As we've been covering, Senator Adam Schiff is under active federal investigation over allegedly misrepresenting his primary residence on mortgage documents for homes in both Maryland and his home state of California to secure more favorable terms. Now, this is something we've been talking about all summer, actually. Reporting on the probe says he obtained low interest rates and tax advantages that would have been harder to justify if lenders had been given a different residency story. The strategy behind Schiff's legal defense fund and his team's public statements have been to call the investigation politically motivated. And to be fair, if anyone would know about politically motivated investigations, it would be Chief Russiagate hoaxer Schiff himself. Financial investigator and California congressional candidate Christine Bish first dug into Schiff's Maryland and California property records, flagging patterns of mortgage abuse and lender favor that would draw scrutiny for any other borrower. As of last week, Bish has been issued and served a subpoena by U.S. Attorney Kelly Hayes out of Maryland with a request for nondisclosure and implied threat of evidence or case interference or tampering by interference. The subpoena requests all communications between Christine and Director Bill Pulte, his staff, Freddie Mac, Fannie Mae, and anyone operating under DOJ direction. Former interim U.S. Attorney for D.C. Ed Martin, his staff, or anyone claiming to be acting under his direction. Christine Bish joins us in studio now to talk about this. Christine, thank you for joining us.
Oh, well, thank you for having me. It's a crazy trip.
You fell into the story by way of a fairly circuitous route. You were not specifically looking for Adam Schiff's mortgage documents. Now that I have you in studio, very, very briefly, talk to me about how you first encountered this story.
Okay, so this started in 2020. I was running against Representative Doris Matsui out of Sacramento and had just won my primary. And first thing I said to myself is, where does Doris live? Because she doesn't live in Sacramento.
And who is Doris Matsui?
Doris Matsui is a representative. She was elected originally in 2005 in Sacramento. Her late husband, Robert Matsui, was elected in 78 and then sworn in 79. And that's when they sold their house in Sacramento over on Gaggle Way and bought a house in Maryland. And that's where they have been residents ever since. And there's a lot to it. But while I was doing the opposition research on Doris, I kept running into Adam Schiff. And then, well, what really did it is there was a WikiLeaks. We're going back, dating ourselves now. There was a WikiLeaks came out, and it was about the House Ethics Committee. Complaints against number of members of Congress who were residents of another state other than the one that they represented. And in there was Doris Matsui. So I followed that backwards. Now remember, this is 2020, and this had happened in 2008.
Right.
Then in 2009, there were several news articles about Doris Matsui and Adam Schiff and other members of Congress saying that they had taken out these mortgages, that their main residence was other than California, mostly Maryland. So as I started to dig, I have a real estate license and have done mortgage loans for years.
So you know what to look for.
I know what to look for, and I know what it says when I find it. So that's when I started digging and continued my opposition into Doris, but I kept running into Adam Schiff. I've never run against him. We're at opposite ends of the state for the offices that we're running for. And, you know, ultimately he ended up running for Senate, something I'm not interested in. But his mortgage story was very interesting to me as an investigator. So I started digging and pulling into it, finding tax documents.
At some point, though, this became a national story. And
Yes.
It became a national story because I think people understood the open and closed nature of a story like this.
Mm-hmm.
This is a form. You've either filled out the box or you didn't. It's kind of black and white. And in D.C., Adam Schiff is infamous for having been involved in all kinds of nefarious activity, but no one's been quite able to pin him down. And so this story popped on all of our radars because we thought, this is something that actually the DOJ might be able to act on after all these years. Now, that said, it appears that you're now being questioned.
Yes. I'm being questioned as to who I've had communication with, how I ended up looking into Senator Schiff, and all of the documents, where I pulled them, what led them to.
Were you surprised when you got this phone call or this inquiry?
When I was served with a subpoena from the U.S. Attorney's Office out of Maryland. Look, that surprised me. But you know what? All of it's the truth. All of the documents are public record. Anyone can pull these documents, so there's no question there. And they're asking me if I've spoke to Director Pulte and other people, and I've never met them.
And ostensibly they're doing this because they are digging into this story themselves, or do you get the sense that something else is happening?
Well, I have seen the news reports that Adam Schiff is claiming that it's baseless. We've seen MSNBC put out a story saying that there's not enough evidence to charge, and that the case, is just going to fade away. Well, I can't imagine, if I'm served with a federal subpoena, that this case is going anywhere.
So, it sounds like this could be a case of checking one's notes, right? Just comparing notes. They have material, obviously, as the government, but they also want to hear from you, the person who dug all this up. That said, there's a lot of Americans are still deeply distrustful of our current justice system. So when you get a phone call from an FBI field office, or it's understandable that Americans may question that and say, I don't know if I should be talking to people like this.
I question that myself. Everyone that I have dealt with has been very open and very friendly as far as Department of Justice. So I have no complaint there. But the truth is, I'm not an insider. I'm running for Congress. I'm sure I'll get to know a few of the people once I'm elected. But for right now, we have to be very cautious. And we've seen the things that Adam Schiff has done and been accused of, and seen him in the media. So I am on high alert.
If at the moment we have a federal housing criminal referral that has been rendered over to Adam Schiff, and again, his consistent response is that this is just a witch hunt, this is a political attack on myself and my family, and it seems like Democrats are just buying that, or maybe they're wishfully buying into that story, but it doesn't seem like this is a story that will go away anytime soon. That said, not a lot of people go to jail for mortgage fraud.
Yes, they do.
They do.
They absolutely do.
So talk about those cases and why.
Okay. Well, remember, I'm in real estate and in mortgage, right? Well, I was in mortgage. We're signing these documents under penalty of perjury. And in the case of Adam Schiff, all of these loans were well over $500,000. There's a lot of money there. And these are federally guaranteed loans, which means that we, the taxpayers, are guaranteeing them. But there's more than just Senator Schiff that's in trouble on this, because all of the lenders, the people who wrote those loans, who took the mortgage applications, the underwriters, everyone that was involved in that, if they knew he was a resident of the state of California, which he was required to be for his voting and for running for office, filing his paperwork, then he could not have a primary residence in the state of Maryland. And there were a lot of things that could have been done to avoid this whole thing. Take it as a second home. Have your wife buy the house without you. There are just different ways to do it. But he chose not to. I can only assume what the motivation is. I can look at the documents and speculate. And it's going to be up to the U.S. Attorney's Office and the Department of Justice, FBI, who has subpoena power. And I've gone over a list of the documents I believe that they need to subpoena. We're not going to go into the details on those in order to fill in the blanks.
So how common in your industry, like how common is mortgage fraud at this scale?
It's pretty prevalent. Yeah, I've already filed 2 other complaints with the Department of Justice and with the FHFA hotline. I don't have a direct line, so I filed it with the hotline and filed it with the FBI, and I have 10 more representatives on my list that I have to verify. So I'm not going to mention those names until I'm ready to verify.
Well, you're becoming the mortgage police, the people that they say didn't exist. You know, when people file, you're like, oh, mortgage police don't exist. Well, you're becoming, I guess, the face of that investigative field. So keep up the great work. We're tracking this story. Excellent. And we look forward to seeing how this particular story, the Schiff story, ends.
Oh, exactly. Well, and it started a firestorm. I started this in 2023, and so now we're looking at Eric Swalwell and other members of Congress. So it's there's a lot more here. And as I'm able to talk about it, I'm happy to return and either in person or via Zoom and give you the details and let you know what's going up as it's available.
Well, if they create a mortgage fraud czar, I think you'd be first on that list.
Well, they do. They have Director Pulte.
Pulte, well, it sounds like he needs a little more help if it's as prevalent as you say. Christine Visch, thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.
And now a message from our sponsors. The holidays are here, a time for family, gratitude, and celebration, but it is also the season when travel, gatherings, and cold weather brings an increase in illness. This is why I want to share All Family Pharmacy, a service that helps you stay prepared and healthy from the comfort of your own home. Visit allfamilypharmacy.com/Rion, place your order online, and a licensed physician reviews it. Once approved, your medication ships directly to your door. Whether you're looking for ivermectin, antibiotics, or your daily maintenance medications, they have you covered. Every order is handled quickly, securely, and privately. During this busy season, you can depend on a pharmacy that believes in trust, care, and service, and you can do it all from your home. Take care of yourself and your loved ones and save 10% with code RION10. RION 10. Go to allfamilypharmacy.com/Rion. Be ready for whatever comes your way. Coming up, Texas just designated the Muslim Brotherhood and CAIR as terror groups. Why has Washington refused to do the same? The nuances are very interesting. Congressman Randy Fine weighs in.